City Council meeting to order.
To start.
The invocation will be led by Vice Mayor Rizzi and the pledge by Councilmember Johnson.
Ladies, meeting has started.
I'll wait, Your Honor. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege of being gathered here today to do the city's business on behalf of our constituents. We ask that each of us be guided by you in the decisions that we'll make that will be affecting others and not by any personal agenda or ego. We ask to be humbled in our disagreements and that we never forget we are here to serve the beautiful people of this community. Father, we have a special prayer for Jackie and Darrell Cross. We pray for healing, full recovery, relief, and rest. We ask for your continued protection over all of our first responders, those serving in our military and their military members and their family members. We ask that they be brought home safely each and every day. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
If you'll join me in the pledge of the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Wilson,
Here.
Vice Mayor Rizzi,
Present.
Councilmember Evans,
Here.
Councilmember Heck,
Here.
Councilmember Johnson,
here.
Councilmember Nesser,
Present.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. As a reminder, all items on the consent agenda will be approved with one motion. If a council member wishes to remove an item for further discussion, the request must be made prior to approving the consent agenda, and it will be moved to new business. Do I have a motion for consent agenda?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented and approve it.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Heck,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, we've got no awards and presentations and documents, so regional intergovernment updates. Council, have any government updates?
No, Your Honor.
No.
No. Okay. Well, I'm going to make a couple of comments concerning it, and the aspect is, of course, we did the Veterans Day and the parade that we did for Veterans Day. And it turned out very well. We had a pretty good showing and recognized our veterans. And it's a unique opportunity to recognize our veterans, to show our appreciation to them. And everyone that attended, I thank you for being there. And I again express my thanks to all the veterans as well. Bryant and I attended the AJ First Assembly of God dedication and 50th anniversary celebration. It's excuse me, it's a real nice addition to the church that they've done there, and they've been in our community for over 50 years, so it was an opportunity to see them as they're growing, and it is a beautiful facilities that they've put together, and it's something that's used. The vacant lot now is well used. Okay, city manager's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. Bryant Powell, City Manager. And for tonight, before we go into announcements of current events, we'd like to invite up Dave Richens of Resolution Copper. You may or may not know Dave's got a new role, and maybe he can explain that a little bit. Then we'll turn the time over to him. We have tonight, and we've asked for Resolution to come in and give us an update on things that are going on in their world.
Yeah, it's great to be back at Apache Junction. It's a town I really love. I've always loved
Apache Junction, been able to do a lot of different projects here with your CDC and the food bank. And I was with United Food Bank for a while and was the CEO there. And I always erred on the side of excess to the Superstition Food Bank as such a great community asset that you guys have here. But Vicky Peacey right now is our current acting project director. So she's kind of had a significant temporary promotion, I guess is the right way to describe that. But she's running the joint. And as such, she's super busy right now, and she rarely gets some time home with her kids. And so I said, hey, I love AJ. I'd like to go back and visit with those folks. So Mayor Wilson requested that we'd come and give you a quick project update. So as you know, we'll get the elephant out of the room. Our environmental impact statement was rescinded, and we don't have a clear timeline for when we're going to get that back. As you know, it was an unprecedented thing that the Biden administration did there. And so we're hoping, and what we're hearing is probably sometime in 2023, they will reissue that impact statement. Just a few things that we've been working on during the environmental impact statement. One of the biggest things was we spent $75 million over the last 15 years reclaiming the historic mine site. So when you drive up through Superior and you look over towards the project, it looks a lot different than it used to historically. And we did that in advance as a commitment that something that we could demonstrate that we want to do things differently here. And Arizona is a special place. It also happens to have a lot of copper, and trying to bring those two things together, we want to make sure that we take care of the 120 years of mining that's gone on around that site, and do our part in advance to clean it up. You know, during that, there's a lot, we really try to focus a lot on local employment and create a lot of jobs there. So really have engaged quite a few local contractors in that work, and they continue to work on site, everything from demolishing old defunct properties to environmental cleanup or just basic brushing, brush clearing and road grading. We've done a lot of work on water. We know that we're in a historic drought, and that's a big deal. And so we're really trying to evaluate technologies that will let us use a lot less water than copper mines have historically, and we're making a lot of progress there. I don't have anything concrete I can share yet, but there are some really significant emerging technologies that we hope we can leverage to use less water. We have already banked underground enough water to support the project for several decades. So from a paper water standpoint, we are in really great shape. But we also know that the wet stuff is super important to our local community, so we don't want to overdraft any aquifers, we don't want to use too much, so we're going to be very careful in that space. As you know, there's a lot of talk about our clean energy future, and everybody wants to be driving electric cars, and we've got these big goals to have all this kind of stuff, and copper is a big part of that. And so, the project is projected to produce about 25% of U.S. copper demand for 40 years. That calculation could change with more and more demand for copper and other key minerals. Rio Tinto has really gone big into the battery business. They are securing lithium assets and those kinds of things to help advance that future. Now, on a local side, we were really excited that 2 Apache Junction High School students received scholarships from Resolution Copper this year. One that is attending NAU, and another one that's going to a trade school. And we're hoping that they obtain the right skills to come to work for us someday. So really focused on making sure we share as much as we can locally and having a lot of local employment in the future. So that's my quick update. I wanted to be quick and not, I've been on a city council. I know how long these meetings can go. So happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions?
Excellent. Great to see you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good seeing you.
Your Honor, we're very happy to be able to have Al Bravo come up. And before he does, I just wanted to share how excited we were for a few of us, the mayor, Councilmember Schroeder, and myself, and Matt Busby, and then a bunch of Parks and Rec staff to be honored at the Arizona Parks and Rec Association Awards. And Al, maybe the best thing to do here, because you have all the information on it, I'll turn it to you.
So, excuse me, good evening. Al Bravo, Public Information Officer for the City of Apache Junction. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Yes, we're going to start off with some really neat acknowledgement. This is a wonderful accolade that much deserved by our Parks and Recreation Department. Everybody knows that our Parks and Recreation folks are looked up to across the valley and across the state of Arizona, and they picked up 3 awards I think Liz said that nobody else got more than 2 from any other town, so you got to like that. But they picked up an award for for outstanding facility for a city of 100,000 and fewer for the Dutchman Dog Park. They got an award for outstanding educational program for their Dino Days program over in Flatiron Park, and then outstanding active adult program for the Mother's Day Tea Party that they hold over in the MGC. So J.J. Underwood is in a couple of these, and Jody is in a couple of these, and there's the mayor and a few other folks who are attending. And yes, he actually is holding an award there. When I first looked at that picture, it looked like he just had his hands out. So I want to make sure everybody knows that they did get several awards, and so you can see them there on the right. Just an amazing showing by, like I said, a Parks and Recreation division that is very well respected throughout the valley and throughout Arizona. So nice job to Liz Langenbach and her staff.
Good job. Can we applaud them? Great work.
Al, before you leave this, are we going to show videos tonight, or no, not yet?
Yeah.
I don't know if they're ready.
We're on current events.
So, Your Honor, I also wanted to thank, it was fun to watch Jamie and Liz. So Liz has been the president of this organization, and Jamie currently serves on the board. And she was kind of the Masters of Ceremonies, not Masters of Ceremonies, but she was helping out the whole program. But the leadership that we have and that you have as part of your team is just phenomenal to see at the state level. We also were excited to have with us that day Dave, who oversees the dog park, and Julia, who's also a big part of one of the programs, the dinosaur program, and Councilmember Heck, thank you for coming as well. That was really, really nice to have such great leadership it was a lunch. So.
All right, here we go.
The Dutchman Dog Park is the newest and the longest anticipated addition to the City of Apache Junction's park system. The city has considered and planned for the development of an off-leash dog park for the community for over 15 years, but there was no funding for such a park. Prior to the dog park, the area served as a retention area and would fill with water during the monsoon and other high rain seasons, leaving it a doggone mud puddle. But you can't keep a good dog down. Due to the high demand, the off-leash dog park project was revitalized in 2018 when the city partnered with Arizona State University Project Cities. ASU students looked at several aspects of off-leash dog parks, evaluated multiple potential sites, and shared their findings to City Council in April 2018. It was then the city began to embark on the new design. After several meetings, the work of designing and constructing an off-leash dog park began. Completed and opened in April of 2022, Dutchman Dog Park still serves as a retention area, but the redesign allows the water to be captured and dispersed to other locations. With unique features such as solar LED lighting, creative stormwater drainage features, and a reservable area, this is a pawsome dog park. Congratulations to the City of Apache Junction on winning this year's Outstanding Facility in Populations Under 100,000.
Cool. That's cool. Yep.
Now remember, we took 3 awards. No one else took, so everybody else that was 2 or 1. And so.
Apache Junction Parks and Recreation Mother's Day Tea Event is an annual event hosted every May to help celebrate mothers. While primarily attended by our active adult population, guests across all generations attend this event. Participants are treated to a fine dining experience that includes assorted teas, coffee, a light lunch, and assorted desserts. The guests can socialize with their friends and family and have an opportunity to meet new people. Local musicians serenade the attendees with background music, while our local youth agencies help escort guests to their tables and serve their meals. Over 40-plus raffle prizes were given out to lucky winners from the event. due to generous sponsorships such as Oak Street Medical. The cost of this event is kept to a minimal amount of $10 per guest. For the past several years, the Mother's Day Tea event has been sold out. Congratulations to City of Apache Junction Parks and Recreation for winning the 2022 Outstanding Active Adult Program Award.
That is a great event. That is a great event.
It's very meaningful.
Yes, it is.
They say that when educating, you must reach all learning forms: visual, hands-on, and auditory. How do you get your hands on the past? You dig it up. Fit Families Dino Day began as an outdoor expo where a key component was hiking safety and critters one might encounter while hiking in the desert. Since its first inception, the event has grown to brontosaurus proportions. From 2020 to 2022, the event saw an increase of 600% in attendance. This is largely due to the popularity the event gained after showcasing photos and videos on social media. The event consists of educational opportunities, exploring, creating, and lots of up-close interactions with dinosaurs. Several partners bring this event together. The park rangers educate on outdoor safety and best practices when encountering critters. Holdfast Reptiles brought out modern-day dinosaurs for the participants to learn about and even be able to handle. Dino Feelings shares their family of dinosaurs and educates about their lifestyles and habits. The recreation staff create a world of exploring dinosaur eggs, digging up artifacts, and piecing history back together one bone at a time. Congratulations to Apache Junction Parks and Recreation for winning this year's Outstanding Educational Award.
So a hearty congratulations to the Parks and Recreation Department, Jody Dutra, J.J. Underwood, and the other folks, excuse me, who were involved. Congratulations to them all. And to continue with our little theme of parks, we should let you know that if you go over to the Multi-Generational Center, you will see that there are brand-new, beautiful pieces of exercise equipment up on the second floor, just installed within the last couple of weeks. And of course, as we always try to do, we try to recycle or reuse the old equipment that had been in that area has been donated to Apache Junction High School. So you can see those are some of the pieces from our MTC now reside over next to the gym at Apache Junction High School. They're already starting to use it over there. So a really neat little way to keep it all in the community, as they like to say. So hopefully all of you will get a chance to use that new equipment very soon. Did want to do a quick report, excuse me, on the household hazardous waste disposal event, which was on November the 5th. A couple of Saturdays ago, had a very, very big turnout, 476 vehicles, 375 from the city, 101 from the county, and this was the biggest turnout since 2017 when we first opened it to the county residents. So big thanks to AJPD, to Arizona Rangers, Public Works staff, as well as the park staff for all chipping in to seeing. Remember, they're doing all of that within just 4 hours. It's just 8 to noon over at the Public Works Yard, and of course they do it twice a year, once in the fall and once in the spring, so the next one should be around March or so. Watch for information, as always, on that. So I did want to mention that as well. And those are your announcements for November the 15th, 2022.
Do you want to make a comment?
Oh, did we have current events? Is that what
We already did.
okay. Anybody else?
Okay,
I have a couple things.
I just wanted to make a comment concerning the Parks and Rec in the aspect. I really enjoyed the opportunity to be there and to talk to, I'll say, several other cities in their Parks and Rec departments as well. And they're very, I'm going to say, envious of how well We are doing our Parks and Rec, and the community of Gilbert's has said that we're going to have to turn around and hire everybody from you.
No.
So I'm going to put a moratorium that no one can leave going to Gilbert.
Your Honor, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Okay. We have our public hearings.
Did you want to go back and open up another item maybe and?
Current
or
events.
Current events. We kind of went through that real quick, but maybe,
Okay. You want to make the current events?
Yeah, so I just wanted to thank the VFWs that put on our Veterans Parade. It was an excellent turnout, as always, for being such a small community. We always have such a great turnout. We have the flyover for our Veterans Day Parade. It's great to see the families coming out. Also attended the AJ First Assembly of God dedication, and I wanted to just mention, we have so many, for being a small community, we have so many hidden gems in our community, and this church organization is certainly one of them. They have RVers. I have a couple of neighbors that do this. A lot of these folks are in their 70s, not necessarily young, but they actually go around building churches. And a lot of the things that they do in this community are just amazing. We just have church organizations and organizations in this community that are really awesome. It was an honor to be invited to that dedication. And then the Festival of the Superstitions, just wanted to thank the chamber. Again, the turnout. You know, we're not a big community, but our events are we're blowing it out of the water. Obviously, we're getting these events. So again, just thank you for the people. We go and we get to see all the crowds and have all the fun, the dinosaur events with our grandchildren, but it takes a lot of work behind the scenes from volunteers, and we're just grateful for the people that are behind the scenes, unseen, setting up, taking down Festival of the Superstitions. Again, thank you to the chamber. It was another great event, great turnout, so thank you all.
Yeah, and Mr. Blue, our pony, got to take 73 kids on their ride around the area, and several of them this is their first ride they've ever been on. So that was fun as well. Anyone else?
That's it.
No, okay. Public hearings. Items number 9 and 10 are addressing the same property and the development, so I'm going to combine them. But there will be separate motions for 9 and a separate motion for 10. Presentation to discuss public hearing and consideration for ordinance number 1528, a proposed plan development major amendment on case number P2199PZ for the property located at 94 West Roundup Street, and resolution number 22-38 declaring a public record that certain documents filed with the city clerk entitled zoning conditions in case number P21-99-PZ authorized under ordinance number 1528. Kelsey.
All right, good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Kelsey Shatnick. I'm a planner on staff, and tonight's presentation is a plan development major amendment request of the property at 94 West Roundup Street. This presentation might look a little familiar to you. It was presented on November 1st as a presentation and discussion only item. So the property at 94 West Roundup is located near the northwest corner of Idaho and Roundup. The property consists of 3 parcels zoned high-density multiple-family residential by plan development, or RM2PD, and the request is to amend the PD to construct 3 fourplexes on the property. In terms of surrounding zoning, to the northwest as well as the south, you have the Apache Junction townhomes, also zone RM2PD, and to the east is zoned RSGR. Here's the proposed site and landscape plan for the property. As you can see, the property consists of 3, it's a little difficult to see here, but of 3 distinct parcels. Each parcel is developed with 1 fourplex. Each unit contains 1 garage space, 1 dedicated paved space, as well as space along the driveway for an additional parked car. As you can see, there's landscaping being proposed around the facility, as well as 36-inch box trees along this northern section of the property to hopefully provide a little privacy for those residents to the north, as well as a shared amenity space on the westernmost parcel that contains a barbecue area, a ramada, a tot lot, bike racks, and things of that nature. Here is a proposed colored rendering that was provided to us from the applicant. I know there was a little confusion on kind of what this would look like when it was developed. Obviously, this isn't exact, but it gives you a really good idea of, if developed, what this property would look like in terms of where the buildings would be located as well as the traffic flow. Here are the proposed elevations for the property. As you can see, the developer has incorporated multiple material types such as stucco and stone accents, and the desert tone colors were chosen to complement the surrounding developments. And you can see these items are carried through with the side elevations as well as the rear elevations. So from the original proposed elevations, as was stated on November 1st, the balconies have been removed, and these windows have been placed at a higher position on the rear wall in order to help prevent or allow some more privacy. It was asked what the distance was and where the location was on the wall. It is about 5 feet. So 5 feet from the floor is the location of the windows. And then I know there were questions about how safety and would it meet building code. So as you can kind of see in this, I know it's a little hard, there are windows along the sides of each bedroom, which will allow for emergency egress, which will meet our building code. So just to kind of bring that to your attention. In terms of public input, a neighborhood meeting was held on October 28th, 2021. Sign was posted at the site. Notices were sent out to property owners within 300 feet, and the case was advertised in the newspaper. Staff received 2 direct calls regarding the request. One of the calls, the individual had questions about the layout of the units, and the second call was an individual who was opposed to the rezoning and had concerns regarding safety as well as the 2-story design of the buildings. So this item was heard on October 11th, 2022 with the Planning and Zoning Commission. It was forwarded with a recommendation of denial. The Planning Commission had concerns regarding the 2-story design with the perpetual maintenance of the property and just believed a better overall design could be achieved at this site. In terms of staff analysis and recommendation, staff had similar concerns with this property from the beginning. Staff had concerns regarding the 2-story nature and having that directly adjacent to properties that were 1-story in height, perpetual maintenance of the property and ensuring that all parcels and especially the shared spaces were maintained at the same rate and equally, as well as parking concerns. This project does meet the minimum parking requirements per individual lot, and are providing an additional space, enough driveway space for an additional car, but there is not an overabundance of guest parking. So with that, staff recommends approval of P2199PZ, subject to the conditions of approval found in the staff report. The staff worked closely with the applicant to come up with these conditions of approval to alleviate our concerns as well as for this property owner, and then in the future, if it were to sell, that it would perpetually be maintained to the same standards. So it just kind of gives us a little bit of leverage, I guess. And one updated condition was the updated project-specific condition number 5. The original language, it is mostly the same. The original language had said reasonably maintain drainage and retention areas, and the applicant just wanted a little bit more detail on, well, what does that actually mean? Because it could be inferred different ways depending on the individual. So staff has expanded upon that to include the clearing of weeds, debris, trash, et cetera, to help provide some clarity. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any initial questions you might have, but the applicant is here and does have a presentation as well.
Anyone have questions?
I have one.
Yes.
I mean, we've been going through so many of these lately. Was this the project that these buildings were supposed to be turned for a better line of sight of the mountain?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't believe that came up at the previous
Okay.
presentation.
Anyone else?
No, I'd like to hear what the applicant's presentation is.
Kelsey, wasn't it discussed about the wall between being increased from 4 feet to 8 feet or something?
Yeah, so thank you for bringing that up. So, I know it's kind of difficult to see, but there is an existing wall along the northern section of this property. This is, it was constructed as a 6-foot wall. This was constructed, I checked the conditions of approval for the Apache Junction townhomes, as well as I went out into the field myself. With the measuring of the wall, you measure it from the exterior of the property, so measuring this wall would be done from this proposed property, so that's the side that I was on. I was not on the neighboring properties, and it, for the most part, is 6 feet. There are times where it does measure a little bit below, but the lowest point that I was able to access was about 5 feet. I primarily focused on these units right here. There's a lot of growth in this area and a lot of cacti, and I wasn't able to get back there, but it was constructed as a 6-foot wall. And I believe the developer has been talking to the owners and property management of the AJ townhomes, and I think they are open and in discussions on potentially raising that height of the wall if requested.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else?
Yes, Your Honor. So Chelsea, when would the, you said if it comes up to raise the wall, when does that get done? Who says, okay, we've had this conversation, it's going to get done? If it's not in what we approve right now to say, hey, we want that wall raised,
Well, we can make that
Make it a condition.
that's what I'm asking.
Yes.
I'm asking, do we need to put that, if we want that raised, don't we need to put it into the motion now?
Yes.
Because if it's not, there's nothing to, there's really nothing to make them do it, correct?
Yes.
Correct. So
That's
you
my
would
point.
Have it as a condition.
Your Honor,
Thank you.
Your Honor.
Peter?
No.
Yeah. So my question is, who does the wall belong to? Apache Townhomes?
Yes.
So at their expense to raise the wall, or at the new developers? Just to think about that for a minute. Because if they don't own the wall's already there, they would need permission to raise the wall.
Yes, they would need to work with the AJ townhomes to be able to raise that.
Okay. All my other questions have to go later.
Okay.
Let's get the
Honor that. Joel, I have a question. Okay, if this wall, and if we say and make it a condition that it has to be raised to 8 feet, let's just pick that number, and then the other people who own the wall don't want to mess with their wall, what liability is there? Can we make the developer build their own wall on their own property, or what do we do there?
The answer is yes, you can.
Should we make that part of the condition, that if where the owners of the present wall don't want to do anything, then it'll be up to the developer to build their own wall?
You could make the condition conditional, saying, build your own wall at 8 feet, or make an agreement with the current property owners.
Okay,
The-
thank you.
The common area, I think that's a common wall, so.
Let's get the applicant up.
But the applicant can tell you probably how they'd want to handle that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, so the applicant would like to speak?
He's going, no, not really, but.
Yeah, that's one we need to know, though.
Thank you. My name is Wilson with Design Group. We are the architectural firm for this project. And again, I'm very grateful for the City Council, the mayor, and the staff. For over a year and a half, I've worked with the staff here and also with the community, and they have contributed to the outcome of the project. So I really appreciate every contribution. Like she already mentioned, the land has some challenges. After you take away the 33-foot federal easement and also the 10-foot utility easement, I know that's the setback for the zoning requirement. So there's just a narrow strip left. So the idea of one-story building has come up before, and somebody decided not to buy it because they couldn't make one-story work. So from the onset, we knew we needed to do something in 2 levels. But what we did was to limit the height where it does not intimidate or create a problem for the neighbors. And through the process, we come up with what we have. The existing building right now on the north side is 2 feet different in elevation. So the fence right now stands at 6 feet. But why is measuring 4 feet on the north side? Because the elevation has 2 feet different. But I've spoken to Jeff Adam, the developer for the AJ Townhomes, and he's open and willing, comfortable with us raising the fence to additional 2 feet to 6 feet on that side. So we are willing to do that. So talking with the neighbors, I have several meetings with them. We are willing to address that. Where the existing fence is less than 6 feet on the north side, we will raise it up to 6 feet. So that way to kind of address their concern. Then another issue that we dealt with, some of these are concerns that come up during our meeting with the community. So the balcony is gone, and also the clerestory window is at 5 feet, so you'll be harder for you to be looking down this way. You'll be seeing their roof, so that way. And I have also some drawings that explain that better. Then the trees will also help to screen that view. Now, working with the city, they're able to give us some, allow us some of, reduce the easement. So that way we're able to move the building 20 feet from the fence line. What we require is 10 feet, but we actually went 20 feet setback instead of 10 feet. So from foundation to foundation, that's 30 feet to 31 feet. So when this project is done. Now, if you look at this next drawing, what you see at the second level, from that 5-foot window, the window that's 5 foot off the floor, your visibility is really restricted. And also, the landscape architect is here, we decided to put in some trees that will come in already 5 feet tall. There are 30 box plants. So if we will plant it now, during the time of construction, by the time we finish, it will grow additional 5 feet, that'd be 10 feet, and that's what you're showing on the drawings. So that way, by the time they move in, that view to their backyard is really gone. Okay, so now the windows that was issued the last time we put on the side. So there is a 6 feet between those two windows. So in case of emergency, you can slide on the roof and then escape for any fire emergencies there. Now, other issues that came up was the parking on the, along the street parking. What we decided to do was to limit. Now, we are open to this. Whether 15 feet, 30 feet, or you don't want any parking there, we are open to that. But we're trying to find a way to make sure everyone is happy. That is not a place for somebody to, there's no overnight parking. So in case there are visitors, if we post a sign there 15 feet, they know that, 15 minutes please, they know that they cannot stay more than that, you can be told. And remember, this community has a management company running it. So in case of any issue, all the neighbors need to do is to pick up the phone and call the management company, and they will enforce those things. Now, towards the end of the driveway, the end of the lot, there is a no parking sign. That's what you see over there. Because that way the fire truck, in case of emergency, can get in and get out without anyone parking there. Now, this is that view looking at the north. If you take away the trees out, that's the view. You can see that the visibility there to look into that backyard is really reduced. It practically doesn't exist anymore. Now, we believe that working with the city, with the community, that this project will enhance their value. And also, the reason we had the playground there was to avoid or prevent kids from trying to cross over Idaho to the public park. So we figured if we could provide something that keep them contained, that would be a safety issue for the kids. And also for the community to get to know each other. So that will improve their quality of life. And when it's finished, it will be a great value, it will be added value to what is existing right now. So, and we try to accommodate the design and the colors to blend in. So when you look at the whole project, it was not designed to create any uneasiness for the neighbors. It was designed to kind of create a community. And working with them and listening to them through the 1.5 years now, we get to know each other. And I've done everything we can to make. I want everyone to be happy. We want the community to be happy with the project and the city to be happy with the project. I believe that it will be a win-win for every person. Thank you. Any questions?
Okay, any questions? Yes.
Sir, you said that when the trees come in that you're going to plant, they're not getting started from seedlings or little small ones. They're going to be 5 foot to begin with.
Yes.
And are they,
With the company, last couple come on. You can answer.
I'm not super knowledgeable on the trees, but are they a fast-growing breed of tree or, because you mentioned that they'd be 10 foot? So they're,
And a 36-inch box.
Ma'am,
Get the speaker.
on the record yet.
I'm sorry, I'm Karen Heaps. I'm the landscape architect for this project. So, Mayor and Council, the trees that we have chosen are very fast-growing, and a 36-inch box is just what you think it is. It's a very large tree to start with. And then we're planning to plant them in before the project starts because they're right up against the wall once the wall is finished, and that so that they can start growing while everything else happens.
can I ask what they are?
It says in there.
Chinese something or other.
Chinese pistache. Chinese pistache.
Thank you, just so that the public understands. You know, you guys are between literally a rock and a hard spot in this area. To have this, I feel like you've been accommodating, you've really listened to the neighbors and worked with staff and the people that are already there in the community. And that privacy thing goes both ways. These folks, you know, they don't want people looking in their area either. So it kind of goes both ways, not just in one direction. I think you guys have really just tried to appease the neighbors and fill in this area that's just been, it's just a hole in that area that would be really difficult to have a project come. So I'm appreciative of everything that you've done and that you've tried to do. So thank you for what you're bringing.
Yes.
I have two questions about the parking. On the street coming into the project, there it says no parking along the, or 30-minute parking along the roadway, and then farther down, there's no parking. Who's going to enforce that?
Well, we have a property management team that the number will be available. So if you call them, if somebody is overnight parking, they can step up and make sure it's towed away. So that is a property management that will be over that project.
So there's going to be a property manager for the whole project?
Yes, yes.
Who will stay there, and that's going to be in the,
Yes, that is an HOA agreement for the whole thing, and that will be part of the stipulation that they should not park more. That is only for visitor parking or temporary parking, but it should not be any overnight parking.
okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Now, I have questions for staff more than,
Okay, anyone else have any questions for the developer? No.
oh,
Thank you.
after the public hearing, I guess.
One thing, though, I would like to add, because it will be public right away, it would be enforced by the police department as well.
So your questions to staff?
Yeah, but after the public hearing.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
All right, so is there no more comments from the council? This is a public hearing, and I have several here that would like to speak on the item, and I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion of the ordinance. Okay, first one, I have Jane Brown.
I crossed my name off, but I'll say something.
Items all on just this one. I can't tell.
I'm Jane Brown. I technically am 2/3 of a mile outside of the city. But I have a lot of friends that live in AJ, and they're always whining about, oh, I don't want this going in, I don't want that going in, but they never do anything. They don't call, they don't come down. So I'm coming down because I'm tired of hearing it all. And I have at least a 3-generation presence in AJ from before it was a state. So I love this area. And I remember when you could ride straight down Chrisman to the proving grounds. And we would come out every Easter, have the family reunion here, and would ride horses everywhere, straight up to Camelback, straight everywhere. And it was wonderful. And the potential is still there to be wonderful, to have trails going everywhere. It really is there. And we are uniquely positioned to save our environment. Buildings are going up, Gilbert, Chandler, every place, wall-to-wall concrete. Temperatures are going up. We're still cool. You know, when you drive up Superstition, temperature goes down as you approach the mountain because of the open spaces, because we have gravel roads, because we have natural plants. Now, this is not a major development, but putting in 100 and some odd homes on 7 acres is a lot of concrete. And what I'm saying is actually for a later thing this evening. But I just would encourage you to realize that AJ is going to be the emerald of this valley. And if we hold off and we don't build wall to wall, we will really be the cat's meow. We really will. We will have $1 million homes in no time at all. And the more 2- and 5-acre properties we hold on to, the more glorious estates that Scottsdale wish they still had. So we can really be the emerald of this entire valley, and we don't have to say yes to developers. We do not. Thank you.
Okay, Amy Gilson Wash. Wash?
I'm Amy Gilson Walsh, and I'm at 1165 Papago. So Wilson here come over and talked to us with the attorney, some of us in the community, and they came back the other day with a packet with a lot of changes. And I noticed that they showed you some of the changes up here, but they didn't talk about all the changes. Some of them are very positive changes. Some of them I'm still questioning. So if you look at the picture up there where it says 30-minute parking only, they're telling me that's owned by the city. If that's the case, I'm right on the other side of that wall. My grandkids play out there. This area makes me very nervous with the parking, people throwing trash over, different things. So I don't understand why that area, because we're worried about emergency vehicles going in through there, why can't that say no parking, emergency vehicles only? They already have their overflow parking next to their homes, in their garage, and out front of their garages. Our property is 88 units, and we only have 8 overflow parking spaces. They have the same amount we do to 12 units. So why do they need that also, is kind of my question. Then I also want to say that they did talk about how, and they didn't tell you about this, but they made an agreement with us that they would do vermin control, they would do dust control measures during construction, they would do snake relocation and termite treatment of their property, you know what I mean? And then they also, let's see here, where did I go right here? I wanted to know if there are 3 investors and 1 owner, will there be several owners at any given point? Will there be a management team on property like ours? Will sewer system be overwhelmed due to the property originally only being 1 home and now there being 12 homes? Will the renters go through extensive background checks like we do at Apache Junction Townhomes, and we're going to be renters because we're renting to own? And what guarantee do we have that they are going to follow through on the promises when they gave us this packet? Because I was advised when asking Tess a quick question earlier, they hadn't made any changes with you guys. But they brought a packet to us and showed us several changes. And I want to know, what guarantee do we have that they're going to follow those changes? And that parking thing is like a huge thing. And I did suggest to the owner where they have the tree in the roundabout, you know, when you're at that last building and someone's kind of zooming through to get out of the property, you know what I mean? There's got to be something there to stop them. The owner did say to me that they were going to put a palm tree there with some rocks, you know, some big rocks. That's good, and this is just a suggestion for them. But a speed bump might be smart because the way that their roundabout curves on that other side, it curves into their home. So that's a safety concern because this is a family community for their own children on their own property. Do you know what I mean? With all that car stuff going. So that's kind of where I'm at, and I'm just trying to talk really fast. Thank you.
Okay, Catino and Angela. Oh, cannot attend, I'm sorry. Didn't see that note. Linda Thomas.
She's not really the same name, but she has sent you guys letters. She's not. You have a letter of hers.
We do have that.
She signed.
Cannot attend,
Last night.
unable to attend. Frank Stock.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. My name is Frank Stock. I'm at 1189 North Apache Drive. I'm just over the fence to the west of the proposed development here. I did come before the Zoning Commission as well as City Council a couple of weeks ago in objection to this particular development. I felt that because I did that, it was also important that I show up tonight and mention that the developer has talked to a number of us in the community. I feel that they, in the neighborhood, I feel that they have worked hard to come up with some compromises. It is still their property, but they've made some accommodations that have made me more comfortable. I have some different concerns than most of my neighbors. And so I felt an obligation to kind of show up and say, I need to withdraw my objections to this. I am a little concerned tonight because, as Amy mentioned, the presentation that they showed us is a little different than what was shown here tonight. There were a couple of issues in that presentation they showed us that were made me much more comfortable, and again, they weren't here tonight, so I do have some little concern about the follow-through on that. But again, I am very surprised at their willingness to compromise and work with us in the neighborhood, and want to express my appreciation for that, and thank you for your time as well.
Thank you. Golden Crunson? Goldine.
Good evening. I'm Goldine Knudsen. I've been at every one of these. I'm wondering if I may please just give you what I'm going to try and say in a couple minutes.
Give them to.
Could I give them to her and she can pass them on to you? Thank you. I do have something to say as long as that's up there right away. And I have a copy of everything that they gave me for their changes, and I am grateful that they are, trying to work with us. But there's a lot of things that they don't know. I was the first one that moved into Apache Junction Townhomes. And that corner there, well, my corner even, the traffic is getting heavier and heavier and faster on Idaho Road. And they are building that out further than my house, even closer to the road. And I'm afraid that with it getting busier all the time, it's accidents waiting to happen. There is no sight or time for them to be turning and getting onto the road with as fast as it's going. Something's going to have to be done. And I'm worried about our corner even. So with that saying, the other big thing is the wall. My wall is only 4 feet tall on my side. And I'm directly behind the first one. And if they can raise it to, you know, the 6 or 8 foot level, and our owner, Jeff, approves of it, and the wall stands up, because those aren't very sturdy walls, more power to them. But we do need a taller wall between the developments. So with that, all I'm going to say is, we, the local residents who are immediately affected by this development, oppose it on the grounds that it is inappropriate to introduce 2-story apartment buildings in this neighborhood. They have a wonderful plan. It's just too big for that small an area, and I have lived in there since day one. These 2-story apartments create loss of privacy for the adjacent neighbors. This development, it does not enhance our vision of a downtown Apache Junction where it's squished in among all the single. The development would have separate owners with no single responsibility for conduct or compliance. And Apache Junction townhomes are on a path of lease to own, and as prospective homeowners, we do not wish to be adjacent to high-density rental units with transient occupancy. And the specific things are all listed on the sheet that you just have, and I don't want to be standing here. I think all of you are very intelligent, and I thank you for everything you've been doing. I love Apache Junction. I moved here 20 years ago, and I love it. I'm just looking at the consistency, and they've got a wonderful development. It's just too big for that small area, is all I'm saying. And gentlemen, if you would take your development and put it on a lot even a little ways up and turn them towards the mountain, you could get market rate value for those kind of apartments there. In this small area between us and stuff, I shouldn't be fearful for you, but as long as you address my concerns about the privacy in the windows and that stuff, whatever, and it's up to you, the council, to determine what you want to be there. Thank you.
Okay, do we have anyone else that would like to speak on this? Yes?
Yeah, I'm the owner of the property. I intend to stay the owner of all 3 lots. There's no plans to separate the ownership at all. The only reason why we want to keep it as separate lots is for the purpose of financing. I'm a first-time builder. I've never built anything before in my life. I would like not to have to multiply my mistakes by 3 when I build it. So I would like to be able to build one, finance it, and then in a second phase, build the next 2. We're very concerned with being good neighbors. One of the big reasons why I chose to go forward with a big playground front and center is because the neighboring community has a pool, and I envision that someday their land use restrictions will expire and we can operate as one. My father and I, we own an additional apartment complex in Mesa. The units are all very small. We have tradespeople that come to us and they say, do you have any vacancy? We tell them no. And they said, do you have anything that we can offer? And we never do. And we're always 100% full. But they're very small units. And when we tell them how small they are, oh, we've got kids. It can't work for us. There is a shortage of family-appropriate housing. And we are trying to address that. So I think I can answer maybe a couple of the questions that Amy raised. So it is going to be professionally managed. We have a property manager that works with us on the other property. We've had good success with them. They manage 130 doors, I believe, last they checked. I just talked to her today. They have done homeowners associations from scratch for condo conversions. So I think we are in very good hands with them. These properties will be maintained, just like we do for the other properties, the property that we have in Mesa. So we intend to be good stewards of the neighborhood. We don't intend to have an on-site property manager. I think that the development is too small for that, but we will have an on-call property manager. I think, as for the parking, we of course don't feel that it would be acceptable to have trash thrown over the wall or to have unacceptable noise. If that ever came up, then we would move to make sure that that didn't continue. Like I said, we plan to be good neighbors. What other questions did Amy have?
I'm sorry, this platform is for a public hearing only,
Public hearing.
not to respond to a lot of the questions.
Okay.
Come back up.
I'll stop then.
Thank you.
Thank you for your hearing.
Thank you. All right, just to let everybody know that I've got 8 other requests to speak for them, but they're not here tonight, that have come out and posed against it as well, and as well as comments concerning what was addressed by Goldine, okay, sorry. Any questions?
Your Honor. Now it's your turn. You want me to go? Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank you for taking on this project, because it is a unique piece of property, which is a really nice thing to call it. It has many challenges. A couple of things. One, in our subdivision at Cortez Ranch in Arizona, off of Goldfield and Cortez and Baseline, those hammerhead lots.
Hammerheads, yeah, the KB homes.
These are going to be bigger units with 3 and 4 bedrooms. Anybody here have kids that live at home and have their own car? That's a federally patented easement, correct? The road roundup itself. So I don't understand why it would be a limit of 30-minute parking only. If it's, you can street park anywhere legally if you have current
Right.
tags. And I understand the people in Apache townhomes have had nothing happen there, and it's been nice and quiet, but when you're up against vacant land, development is going to happen, especially at the prices that there are today. And just like the road to the north of this development, they're facing another piece of vacant land that's owned by Quail Creek Condos. Same thing can happen there. And the reason these are 2 stories instead of single stories is the price of land is way different today than when Apache townhomes were built. And Tess, Krista, and myself, we were all on planning and zoning when Apache townhomes came before us, and the uproar they created was unbelievable. This entire room was packed because these were going to be low-income buyers, there was going to be trash, there was going to be fires, there was going to be crime. I mean, we heard it all, and we hear it over and over again every time
Every project.
some project like this comes up. And I understand how change is difficult. But people need to understand with the price of land the way it is, this doesn't pencil as single story. Because a developer, and developers are there to make money. They create jobs, they create sales tax, they bring people into our city. No, we don't want to look like Scottsdale. Yes, we have a wonderful trail system, but change will happen, whether we want it to or not. The one thing that the owner said, and I did check, and you did close escrow, and I appreciate that, because we have many people that come into Arizona from places like California that buy up our land, they put a project together, they flip it, and then nothing happens. And we're kind of tired of that. So we have some misgivings with, I understand how you purchase these in 3 separate parcels, and your financing allows you to build one at a time. But my question to you is then, why not combine it as one parcel and do phase 1, 2, and 3? That would make me feel a whole lot more secure that we're not going to get one built at the end, you're going to flip the other 2 lots, and adios Apache Junction. There we're stuck with a rezoning case, potential development, we go through all of the hoops, and so do you, and then nothing happens. And if this hasn't happened once, twice, 3 times in the last 16 years I've been involved in this city. Pardon me?
We have a case that's right after this for the Keystone, and it's happening tonight. It's very difficult. There's a lot of moving parts to help development happen.
So some of the one thing that you said about you wanted to build one at a time concerns me. Because of why I just stated. You know, I would like to add the reversion clause that we've done on new developments, that they have 2 years to complete, or the zoning reverts back. That's something that isn't included in this, correct? Okay, thank you. And one of my thoughts was, okay, being in real estate for 30 years, I understand the HOA concept, but if there's 3 separate owners, I didn't know if there was a way that we could make part of the conditions and deeds that the city property maintenance codes will be enforced to all owners. Something that's recorded that we can say, I don't care that you're telling me you didn't know you had to do that, because we get this a lot too. It's like, oh, I didn't know I had to maintain it, or there was any property standards that I had to keep up. My comfort level of the 3 parcels is my only problem. And I thank you for changing the design of the windows. My question was, how is that going to make code? Because you have to be able to crawl out of a bedroom window, but that was answered tonight. And I appreciate the fact that you have been so willing to change things. I wanted all 3 units to be built at the same time. That was my comfort zone. That way we're not stuck with 1 built and 2 empty lots that may or may not look just like this. I didn't want a CFO to be granted until all 3 units were built.
Can we call
Pardon me?
I was going to ask Joel, can we call the developer back to answer the question on what she's addressed?
Yes, and then you'd have to open it up for a public hearing again.
Okay. developer, you want to come up and comment?
Well, maybe,
We have
yeah,
comments and then-
yeah, let's wait, because he might have to ask one of my questions too.
Okay, all right. Don't want them to get lost in the questions. though.
You good?
All right.
Yeah, for now.
I too am concerned about the 3 lots with the potential of being 1 built, 3 empty. Another concern I have is, I've heard on a couple occasions here tonight that the presentation we get is different than the presentation that was given to the neighbors. And that's a pretty big thing to me, just ask anybody here, whenever we get a presentation behind the scenes and then come in the public forum, we get a different presentation. I'm not a fan of that at all. So when he does come back up, I'd like to know the specifics behind what was different between what the neighbors were told and what we were told.
Peter?
I'm going to take a little different tact on this. The Apache Junction is experiencing a substantial amount of residential development at this time. These applications they're well-designed. They have adequate off-street parking, and they have adequate common areas and lots and play lots and clubhouses, things like that. I look at this and my reaction to this is we're trying to jam this thing in here to make something work. Now, I know it's been an oddball thing for years and years, and I haven't been around for all that, but I'm concerned about at that very end, past the west of the circle there, how you would get fire apparatus in there. I think and we could say, well, it'll fit, but I just feel like we're trying to force this in to make something work, and I have my concerns from that standpoint.
Yes.
In addition to the not having all 3 units, the zoning, all 1 unit, which I agree with Gail, I think it should be all zoned together, 1 lot or 1 property. But my questions are really for staff, so since we don't have staff here, unless staff wants to come up. This has already gone through to SM, Superstition Fire and Medical, to address Peter's concern, the roads. Am I correct?
That is correct, and I actually spoke with Richard Mooney prior to this meeting, and he confirmed that as long as they have 20 feet, they can perfectly and adequately get in there in an event of an emergency.
Okay. Did it ever come up, and has it been discussed, the one lady's comment about that tree in the circle standing there? Is that any kind of a fire, any kind of police hazard of any sort?
So that will not be permitted because that was actually, that got brought up prior to this project where people were suggesting, well, what if we put something in the middle? But per fire, they would not allow something like that.
So there won't be anything there?
Correct.
Okay.
Nothing in the middle.
Okay. And as far as property management, is that written in, where is that written in stone that they will always have to have property management to take care of this property?
With a residential community, typically you have a property manager or an owner that maintains the property. It would be standard. It's a little different, kind of like with a platted subdivision where you would have a formal HOA and they would kind of maintain the common areas.
I mean, the only reason I ask is because where I live at one time had an HOA and CC&Rs, and that died years ago. So where I live, you can buy my house and not have to deal with an HOA. But so nothing is, unless it's written someplace that they always have to have it, that can disappear down the road 20, 30 years from now. So what's the guarantee to the city that this is going to be always be managed?
So at least I know with HOAs and CC&Rs, the city city doesn't control them, so yes, they can dissolve. In terms of how that management is structured, I think that would be something better answered by the applicant.
Okay, and one last question. Kelsey, excuse me. Explain to me where, about the parking, like Gail said, any place, if you've got a vehicle, you can park anywhere unless there's a sign that says you can't park on public streets. So, and I'm not sure how to ask my question, but about the,
Time limitation?
huh?
The time limitation?
Yeah, well, the time limitation, I mean, you know, that's not gonna be enforced. I mean, you know it, I know it, everybody knows it. And there's gonna be people parking down there at the other end of the street when they go to visit that last building down there. They're not gonna come down here and park and then walk clear down to the other end. So, can they park there? I mean, is a sign that says 30-minute parking or no parking, is that really going to, is it enforceable?
So that would be, so if they were to post a sign, it would, you know, it is public city right-of-way, so, you know, somebody could, I mean, in theory, the police department might try to enforce it, but, you know, that would be something more that, it was suggested by the applicant as a way to kind of mitigate concerns of the property owners surrounding area, but because it is public right-of-way, you know, residents do have the right to park there.
So the owner is saying, let the police and the city take care of his problems then? Okay, thank
If I
you.
may,
Yes, sir.
just recently, the Ninth Circuit, everybody knows what the Ninth Circuit is,
One of those.
Court of Appeal, which affects Arizona, actually upheld the chalking of tires on public streets, because that was attacked in California, and it went through the, so
We don't
the
wanna-
police would have to, if the city puts up signs that say no parking or 30-minute parking only, the police department would be the ones who enforce it with chalking tires. If there's no signs, then there is a city code provision that says if someone leaves a vehicle there more than 48 hours, it can be towed. Once again, the police would have to verify the vehicle's been there that long. So, but that is a public street, it will be. So that might be something you want to talk about. You know, if that's a big issue, it sounds like it is for this council, you may want to continue this for 30 days to have staff talk to the developer to work something else out.
I would think that emergency vehicles, I can understand, but a 30-minute parking in any kind of a residential area is a pizza drop-off. No one comes and visits somebody for 30 minutes, and it's unrealistic to believe that they will unless it's a drop-off delivery. Other than pizza and Uber, no one's going to abide by that. And to think that someone should be out there monitoring it or giving the rest of the neighborhood a reason to constantly harass others about where their car might be for 32 minutes is not something I think we want to be involved in.
Yeah, really.
Your Honor, can I be recognized? Thank you. So I really appreciate Gail's taking the time and providing an explanation to the neighbors. I appreciate Tessa's comments, because I think sometimes what happens when we get up here to make these decisions without an explanation or conversation and questions answered, I think sometimes community members feel like they're not heard, we don't care, we're just gonna push through whatever we wanna push through, and that they don't matter. And so I really appreciate Gail's explanation of things, and I don't want to be long-winded, but I would like to add a few things to that. By the time things get to us, by the time a development gets to us, We have a lot of stop gaps. We have a lot of safety nets. We've got the fire department. These people up here have been through planning and zoning. They know that. The fire department has to sign off on these things. The police come out. We've got all these different agencies. And so I don't know about a fire truck. I used to drive a school bus, but for me to try to say, hey, is a fire truck gonna fit? That's their expertise, and they've signed off on it. So I want you to be comfortable in knowing that by the time we get it, all this stuff has been talked about, looked at, reviewed, gone over, but I still appreciate you guys coming and expressing your concerns. Same thing when I moved in, 20, whatever, something almost 30 years ago, had an acre and a quarter, no neighbors. Then I get my telephone lines, I get neighbors, I get walls, I get people, you know, the privacy thing, I get it. But we also, somebody has the right to take their property. We have all these rules, we have ordinances, we have laws, and when they fit within that box of rules, they have the right to develop their property, and it's hard, change is hard, I get it. I really feel that this property owner, God bless him, you can see how nervous the guy is, doing his best. I feel that he's really tried to compromise with everybody. And I gotta agree with Gail. When they were developing those townhomes, man, it went on. People were they were not happy with us that development was coming in. Give it a chance. Give it a chance. I think we have laws. If people are throwing trash over your fence, hey, we got laws. Call the police. If people are burning something, thought I heard somebody say, or doing something, we have laws for that. Call the police. The parking thing, I'm not really understanding what we're trying to prevent with that. I don't know that, you know, for me, it's like, don't make a rule if you can't enforce it. Are we gonna call the police? Who's gonna be out there timing? You know, they're there for 28 minutes, and 3 minutes, I'm gonna call. I mean, I don't know what the parking issue against the fence is, but we hear you. I want you to know we hear you, and there are safety nets and stop gaps so that by the time something comes to us, these guys have heard it. You know, it's run through it's been run through, checked over, double checked, you know what I mean, the I's dotted and the T's crossed, and we do hear you. You know, it's when you have a new person, new community coming in next to you, I get it. You're gonna have more noise, you're gonna have more traffic, we get it. We gotta share the road.
Could,
Peter?
No.
go ahead. You had a question, Tess?
No.
Oh, you know, I really hate that when it was right there and I just ran out the other side.
How about if I bring back the developer?
I'd like to ask the developer.
Yep.
Sorry.
One
What-
thing I would
yeah.
like to bring up, just because it was discussed a few times, is the concern about the 3 parcels. It could be something, you know, maybe a condition of approval, or, you know, that at the end of construction completion, that the lots are combined into one. That could be something that if agreed upon by the developer and applicant, that maybe, you know, so being developed, it would be 3 parcels. After completion of construction, it could become one. So just something to put out there as an option.
But that's not really the time, because
Yeah,
as it sits right now, he can build one unit, or the first unit, and the 20 years from now can still be vacant lots.
which we have seen.
Would he be able to do that anyway?
What do you mean?
Well,
I thought we were talking about putting that clause in where he doesn't have it in by, so
So,
it reverts.
Well, there's also the concern of the sale of the 2 empty lots, too.
Yeah, there's probably some financing mechanism if you wanted to bring the developer up to tell us what's going on here, but I don't know. What I'm saying is if you rezone it, the one parcel, he just built one anyway. All kinds of things happen where people build stuff. Look on Signal Butte and the Trail. There's people that get halfway through a project and abort. We're gonna hear a statement here pretty soon about a project that's done. You know, major market changes are happening
Yeah.
in the world right now. And so, I mean, I don't think there's any guarantees about any of that. But you could, you know, put in a condition that allows for your condition to have in time, one parcel.
So I'd like to speak to the developer one more time.
No owner.
Yeah.
Owner developer.
So, yeah, in addition to the phased building, there's another concern about combining the lots, and that is that it would require us to get commercial financing instead of residential. And the terms are much less attractive for that.
And
Yeah.
I understand that completely.
Right. So, I mean, it's basically twofold. Like, one is, like, my net worth is not infinite, and I have somewhat limited risk tolerance. But then also just the longer-term, like, financing implications of combining them make it a lot harder to make it pencil.
So when would you anticipate starting on the first one? And are you going to start at the end or on the street
So
side?
we would go from west to east. So the intent is to get the furthest one in first, so that we would not have construction crews crossing in front of like people's houses.
Sure.
So that would be the plan. So when we originally like decided to pull the trigger on this property, like I ran through some napkin math of what I thought I could get in rent and what thought I would have to pay for like construction. We live in a pretty different world from when that happened. So I would like to have the option to, like after the permit comes, to reassess whether it still makes sense and hold off on developing for a little while if, like, because of interest rates, it turns out to be so crazy. I mean, I also don't know what bids are these days. I mean, I'm not in the construction industry. I'm a software developer. I would like to.
What were you thinking?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Well, we held out on the
question,
property.
And I want to try to make a dent in like the housing crisis that we have just all over the country, and we're short of millions of housing units.
Yes.
Everybody needs more space. Like there are all sorts of jobs now, like mine included, where you can work from anywhere and telecommute, but you need space for it. You need a Zoom room, and like yeah, getting that affordably is kind of a challenge.
Well, I'd like to say one thing for people that aren't here. What he said just resonated with me because a fourplex is considered normal residential. You can have up to 4 units and get a regular mortgage.
30-year fixed.
Right. Anything more than 4, then it throws you into commercial financing, which is much more higher down, a higher interest rate, and a shorter term to pay off.
And balloon payments.
So that made sense why you've kept it at the 3 separate parcels. It doesn't make me feel any safer about it, but with, I did a quick check on interest rates, and I was on the internet looking at different websites, and Freddie Mac actually printed the average residential interest rate for 50 years. The high being 1981, it was 16%. 2021 was the low at 2.5%, but when you averaged all 50 years, the average interest rate is 7%. So it's kind of like,
It's not historically high right now.
No.
I understand that. But when we pulled the trigger, it was a lot lower.
absolutely, and I understand that piece of it. How, I guess, confident are you that you'll be able to pull one off and or be able to sell the other 2 for the exact same product being built?
I have no intent to sell ever. So if I don't build the other 2 in the immediate term, my plan was to just hold on to them until I could. This is a legacy project for me. I want income stream for my kids.
And I understand that too. But you understand where we sit
I
as
do
the
understand.
city is we've been sold bill of goods before and nothing happened.
So if one fourplex went in and the others stayed vacant, like, so the concern is too much density, but like, how does?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, how does that make it worse than this current situation?
Now, I don't have a problem at all with the design, the density, or any of that. But understanding the fourplex and the financing at the end of it, that's a huge deal.
It is a huge deal.
Instead of going into commercial financing.
My concern is more that the project is actually something that would actually come to full fruition. Because it sounds to me, and maybe I'm just hearing you wrong, that you fully feel that you can complete building 1 and hope that you can complete building 2 and 3 at some time in your legacy of future. But we don't have unlimited legacies of building.
I understand, yes.
And that concerns me. It sounds like we're going to do 1 and hopefully in some kind of reasonable future, do the other 2.
My intent is to learn from my mistakes and build, like, hammer down the processes and then get the other 2.
I feel like we're beating this guy up for past mistakes. Honestly, I do. I feel like it's important to be recognized to speak, first off, but I really feel like we're beating up on this guy. And we've dragged it out. Let's make a decision. Let's get to the, cut to the chase here.
Do you have any questions?
Nope. Oh, I wasn't saying no to you.
Yeah, there's a question about the presentation. Exactly what I presented to you is what I took to the community last night. What they're talking about, let me get, I listed the concerns they have and how we mitigate them. But because of time, I didn't want to read everything out. But everything there, that's a community concern. And everything that she's talking about was no parking, 30 minutes parking, no barbecue stand. So they don't want the barbecue smoke on the park. So we took that off so that no barbecue stand in the parking to make sure there's no smoke, because their own community is a smoke-free environment. So we try to adopt the same thing. And the dust control, some of them has some illness. So I let them know that during the construction, we're required to maintain those control measures. Make sure that there's water and, to keep the dust down. So then also the termites and the snakes that are there that try to relocate and treat it so that way. So those are things she said you mentioned, but because of time, I didn't want to just read through that. But exactly what they have there, what you have is what I sent to them. The only difference would be the name. The one they have has Roundup Apartment, and by talking to them, I realized they don't like the name Roundup. It's kind of has, as if they're holding couch. So they prefer something that kind of relate to the environment, and suggested mountainside fourplex. So we adapted that, anything that we could do to make them comfortable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, since I opened up to the developer, again, then have to reopen the public hearing. Would anyone like to speak on these items? Yeah, come on forward.
Never have had that
Name and address.
snake relocation.
Wilson Walsh, address 1165 North Papago Drive. He did just address what he said, but here's the thing. So when she came up here, I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but when she came up here a second ago, she stated in the roundabout that they're actually not going to have anything there. Before we walked into court, I actually spoke to the owner himself, and I spoke to the developer yesterday. That's when they added that middle portion, and he stated that there was going to be a palm tree there with cement. That helps slow people down when they're speeding out of their own property. That puts people at risk. That roundabout area, right over that roundabout area, is my home. My grandchildren play out there. I don't want people speeding through there and I know there's a potential anywhere in this world to come through the wall, okay? I get that. I understand that. But the danger of how many cars are coming in and out and how much they have to zoom in and out, that's a major concern for me. Because when you're going about around that roundabout, yes, I get that if they're gonna have parking. But again, like I stated before also, not even just that being a danger. They're saying these things, and he did pull them up, but my concern is the promises that they've made to us, who is gonna hold them accountable for keeping through onto those promises? Regarding the name of the property, Wilson had told me that they don't like the name Roundup. Roundup sounds criminal. I said, listen, it's AJ. Roundup could refer to rounding up cattle or rounding up, different things. There's so many different things you can round up, horses, different things. And then I said to him, if you guys don't like the name, Mountainside or Coyote Crossing and I did say to him, fourplexes does sound better than apartments because apartments makes it sound like a low-income property, you know what I mean? If you're doing family homes, when you say fourplexes, it kind of draws you in a little bit more. I think they've done a wonderful job in design, but I do feel like it is being crammed into a small area. The owner has been very polite, the developer has been very polite, but again, my question is, hey, who is gonna hold them accountable to keeping the promises that they did make our community and following through on what they're saying? And if they don't have a management team on property, like we have a management team on our property and we are going to own our homes. Theirs are going to be renters long-term. So if that's the case, who is gonna hold their people accountable for what they're doing? And again, there's just 12 units. Mine is a 4-bedroom home. There is 8 4-bedroom homes on Apache Junction. And there is the rest 80 3-bedroom units. We have a 2-car garage, okay? So if they park in their garage and in front of their garage, that's equivalent to a 2-car garage. We have 8 overflow parking spaces. If they use our wall, which is a common wall, they will then have like 25 extra parking spaces to 12 units versus 88 units. That's just a bit much. I do really, really think that should be left for emergency vehicles. I can't stress that enough. And something there in that roundabout to slow their traffic. She says that they're not going to do it. They're both saying that they will. So which one is it?
Yes.
I think the fire department knows how they can park and where they can drive.
Andre Meek, 1327 South Bel Air. Mayor, council, I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm on the other side. But in looking at it, very cool way of utilizing a piece of property that's really hard to utilize. What I'm seeing here is the density isn't that bad. All this talk about traffic through there. Okay, so you got 4 units per lot, that's 12 units. Let's say 4 people in each unit. So that's 16, 32, 48 people in the neighborhood, in that area. There's not gonna be 48 cars. Who else is gonna go in that neighborhood but residents? It's a dead-end cul-de-sac. Parking along the wall, that's a common wall. It's not their wall, the neighbor's wall, it's a common wall. It'll be high enough to block. And, I'm not seeing a lot of the objections. I always see it as not in my backyard, that's, grew up in California, living in Oregon, I know what it's all about. So, I see some objections, but, as far as a project, it's a pretty cool project. What they're planning on doing, they're putting up a wall for the houses behind them. The trees will cover windows. You won't be able to see one way or the other once they're grown. Got a picnic area, someplace common. I guess the biggest thing would be fire response, emergency response at the end of the cul-de-sac. That's I see as the biggest pain because you have a unit right at the end of the cul-de-sac, and that cul-de-sac is his driveway, and so that unit there is going to be severely restricted on just what or who can park there, who can visit, because everybody's going to have to park up the street. And, while, I understand why the neighbors don't want nothing new, I think it's a pretty cool project for what it is, for all the time and effort and, mitigation and, bending over backwards to please the neighbors. I think it's pretty cool. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, any additional? Oh, yes.
Goldie's.
You see the hand. Come up and speak.
I think the project and what they're building is absolutely wonderful too. I just think it's an awful lot, and what they're trying to do in such a small space and with all the problems. And they have said that this is going to be market rate housing, 1,600 to 1,800 square foot units. And I asked the owner just before we came in tonight, has he thought about what the income level is, the average income of everybody in Apache Junction? And if you have to have 3 times the amount of your income, to be able to qualify for what they're planning on building a market rate. And to them, their market rate is probably, I don't know, $2,000 to $3,000 a month. That's what everybody in Apache Junction is earning. And I'm afraid that he is going to probably, because he doesn't know anything about a lot of this, and he said he hasn't, he's going to learn by his mistakes, and he might fail having that. I said, how about making them a little smaller? How about making them, I had just asked him that before this meeting, and average income or something instead of market rate, And he said, well, that's not our plan. Well, that plan with market rate, they should be having awesome views of the Superstition Mountain on a bigger lot. I'm afraid he's not going to be able to fill them, and the only way he'll be able to fill them to get his mortgage paid is to be renting them out to 4 people that are pooling their income to come in and live in them, and it's going to be in and out and in and out, and that isn't going to do him any good, even more so than it isn't going to do us any good. So I'm worried for both of us there with that philosophy for that small area in that place. That's it. Too much and too little and too high of a rent to be able to have anybody that's working and living in Apache Junction to be able to afford, and anybody that has a $9,000 a month salary, which is 1/3 of their income, which is what you're supposed to be paying for your housing, is going to be going into what they said, the $1 million ones that are going to be built out here, or the $500,000 ones with acreage or big lots for their kids to play in. So thank you for your time.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. Any comments?
I just would like to add one. Some of the issues that I had, the owner explained completely to me as to why he has left it as the 3 separate lots. But I noticed that we didn't have the reversion clause added to this, and I would like to add that if nothing is built by January of like 25, to bring it back to council for possible reversion discussion and action, to just be added to the stipulations that are there. That way, something needs to happen in the next several years.
Bambi?
I would agree with Gail that there should be something on there for that.
because we don't know what the future will bring. I mean, I can understand that there's going to be some time frame to try to get it worked out, but I think that eventually, there's gotta be an end to delay.
This is crazy.
Robert?
Even if you put it in there, even if you put a revision clause in there, that doesn't mean 2 years from now, so a city council has to act upon it. So it doesn't matter one way or another whether you have it or not, but just to be on the safe side, put it in there. And
I hope it's never needed.
it may be never needed, yes.
Peter?
Nope, nothing.
Krista?
You know, just as the economy has changed, the family dynamics have changed. And we can't predict what people want. We're getting younger generations that are driving cars that I could never still afford in my age. And they don't necessarily want land. And so we have to evolve with that. And there is no way I will support the clause coming from this end. I'm sorry. I feel like we're setting somebody up for failure. And I feel like we're punishing a guy that's just out here on a limb for the first time for prior development. I can't support that. I'm sorry. There's no way. There's no way I'll support that clause. That is very unfair to somebody that is bent over backwards. This land has sat here and sat here and sat here. I don't know what it is that we expect or why we're just, it's almost like we're punishing this guy. And I won't support that. There's no way.
Okay, any other?
I just don't look at it as a punishment, but as some type of a discussion can be brought up by a new council to discuss if nothing has happened there. It's a discussion thing. It's not an automatic reversion of zoning. And if I didn't say that clearly, I apologize. But one thing on the no barbecue stand, you know, any of those people could put a barbecue out front and you'd have smoke.
Yeah, really.
I kind of felt bad about that.
Okay, we're going to need to have two motions on this one for 9 and then a motion for 10. So can I call for a motion to adopt ordinance number 1528?
Your Honor, I move that ordinance number 1528 be read by title only and the reading of the entire ordinance be waived.
Second.
Moved and seconded, roll call?
Councilmember Heck?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes,
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance number 1528, an ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the City of Apache Junction, Arizona, conditionally approving a planned development major amendment, case P2199PZ, a request by Travis Heppy, represented by Wilson Ajim of Ajim Design Group, to construct 3 two-story fourplexes on a high-density multiple family residential by planned development property, adopting by reference that certain document entitled Zoning Conditions of Case Number P2199PZ, authorized under Ordinance Number 1528 for the planned development major amendment of the property legally described as and located at 94 West Roundup Street, Apache Junction, Arizona, repealing any conflicting provisions and providing for severability.
Main motion?
Your Honor, I move that ordinance number 1528 as read by City Clerk be approved and adopted with the following amendment to add a condition of, in January of 1925,
19.
oh, Jesus, 2025, I'm tired. Staff bring forth a possible reversion in zoning reversion discussion and possible action by a future council.
do you need to put in there if it's not completed?
If not, oh, yes, sorry.
if not developed.
If not completed or no progress has been made by January of 2025.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Make any sense?
Roll call?
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
In an effort to move the project forward, and because it's only a suggestion, I'm going to vote yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Heck?
No.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Motion passes, Your Honor.
Okay, can I call for a motion for resolution number 22-38?
2238. Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that resolution number 2238, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the City of Apache Junction, Arizona, declaring as a public record that certain document filed with the city clerk entitled Zoning Conditions of Case Number P-21-99-PZ, authorized under Ordinance number 1528, be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call?
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Heck?
No.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Motion passes, Your Honor.
Okay. Big deep breath now. Items 11 through 14 addressing the same property development, so I'm going to combine them. Nicholas?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's good to stand before you. As is noted, these four items consist of the Havenly Scenic, P-2288PZ, Plan Development Rezoning, and the Havenly Superstition Amendment, which was P-2289PZ. Now, it is notable, and it is my task before you this day to note that as of yesterday, November 14th, the applicant, Keystone Homes, has requested a formal withdrawal of both of these two cases. Just to review what the cases were for the benefit of the public, P-2288PZ was the proposed plan development rezoning of the 14.1 acres noted in red from RSGR and RM2 to RM2PD to facilitate the development of 158-unit leased residential community. Now, as part of that, it was going to make Colt Road obsolete, and so P-2289PZ was a proposed planned development major amendment of Ordinance 1518, which is the zoning ordinance for the three parcels noted in blue that was approved last year for the project known as the Havenly Superstition. And this amendment was going to remove all of the requirements to improve and dedicate Colt Road because Colt Road would no longer exist were the Havenly Scenic or the Red Project to be approved and developed. So I have a letter issued by the applicant that I will provide.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, Nick. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
So as has been noted here, the applicant, Chris Hundelt of Keystone Homes, has noted that due to the financial situation, as has been rapidly changing over the past few months, but most notably, as was determined by the applicant just within the last week or two, given the new interest rates, they have reanalyzed their proposal, and the financing behind it has withdrawn itself already. And so in our discussion as staff, talking with the applicant, trying to figure out could this project be done in a certain way, they have made the determination that they will need to withdraw. And As such, both P2288PZ and P2289PZ, they have formally requested this withdrawal. As part of that, there is a motion to withdraw. I would just amend, we received a different letter yesterday that just had a couple of typos that has since been amended, and that is what is before you here. So within the motion to withdraw, there's a note dating the November 14th letter. Substantially, it's much the same. This one just contains clarity and fixing a typo. So this is the November 15th letter, and just to make mention of that, so that is fixed within the motion itself. Now, just for informational purposes, I will make note that the 3 existing homes that were part of the Havenly Scenic project, or within that project area, they will remain, just again for informational purposes. The conveyance of this property, the transaction of the sale, was contingent on the approval of this rezoning, and as it has been withdrawn, that sale will not be happening, and so those homes will be staying. Regarding the Havenly Superstition development that was previously approved, that will be moving forward as was originally approved and proposed, according to the conditions of Ordinance 1518. Because this amendment is not going forward, all of the existing conditions are still in effect and in place. And again, for informational purposes, the applicant has indicated that these 2 originally being separate projects and having separate financing, the financing for the Havenly Superstition is in place. They are still making progress. They broke ground formally just last week. So it will remain forward and continue progressing unimpeded by this change in events.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I just have one question. Nick, when you first came in front of us, you said that it's good to be before us tonight. Is that the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I'm teasing you.
You know, it's unfortunate. We all spent time reviewing this.
Yeah.
I just meant always happy to present.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
I'm just
I made
kidding
no
ya.
slight in either direction.
Good job.
Okay, any other comments from,
Your Honor?
yes?
So Nick, the 3 homeowners on Colt Road, they have been informed at this point that, or you're waiting to be informed, and when our vote goes through?
They have been informed. I've not spoken with them myself. However, I have spoken with the broker who was responsible for both the buyer and seller of this property, and they are completely aware of this going on. I have informed them of that, but I have not personally spoken with the property owners. But I have no doubt that the broker informed them, he knowing himself.
Okay, thank you.
And I got a telephone call from the developer explaining it to me as well today.
Yeah.
Okay, any additional discussion from the council? Don't think the developer's here that wants to speak.
Not
So-
as they have withdrawn.
But this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak on this item? And I see no movement, so I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion to accept the withdrawal from the developer.
Your Honor, I
Yeah.
regretfully move that acceptance of the withdrawal of the rezoning case P-22-88PZ along with accompanying ordinance number 1530 and resolution number 22-43 and acceptance of the withdrawal of plan development amendment case P-22-89PZ along with accompanying ordinance number 1531 and resolution number 22-44 at the request of the applicant Chris Hundelt of Keystone Homes for the reasons stated in Mr. Hundelt's November 14, 2022 and November 15, 2022 correspondence be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Heck?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Motion passes, Your Honor.
We're going to take a 5-minute break. Run to the restroom.
They need to fix that clock. It's a couple minutes
Okay.
past.
That's me.
Please. Under old business,
Wasn't pretty.
presentation and consideration of rejection of bids made by Tyler Technologies and Casper's North America, and approval of a contracted award to Mark 43 for public safety, computer-aided dispatch records management system, and mobile field reporting software. Chief Pooley.
Mayor, members of council, I'm happy to be here. My name is Mike Pooley. I'm the Chief of Police for the Apache Junction Police Department. Tonight, we're just going to review real quick why we're here for a proposal that we went out to request for proposals out to the public for a new computer-aided dispatch and a records management system. Just a refresher, this is kind of the brains behind the entire police department that holds all of our records, that helps us send officers to different locations when a call comes in, and it really is our entire system that we base our operations off of. There were two other companies that put in for this. One of them was Capers North America. The other one was Tyler Technologies. After a very thorough review and selection process, we determined that Mark 43 was and it will be the best CAD RMS system that will help us to do exactly what we want to do out here in the Apache Junction Police Department and the city. Tonight also we have executives from Mark 43 that flew in specifically for us from Washington, D.C., New York, Salt Lake City, San Diego, and here locally as well. So just a reminder, this is going to be funded the first year through the American Rescue Plan Act, the ARPA money, for the $490,645 for this year. It is for a 5-year contract with a total of $1,566,893. And tonight we come to you to consider a rejection of the bids made by Tyler Technologies and Capers North America, and for approval contract award to Mark 43. And do any of you have any questions?
Yes.
No, well, no.
You made the statement that the Mark 43 CAD system is the brains behind the PD? I'm confused. I thought you were.
Oh, it's not me. It is my people, but they're the ones that definitely, with this, it makes it work and function and puts everything together.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
I just have a kind of a question for Jennifer or Joel or somebody. Why do we have to say that we rejected the other ones? We've kind of never done it that way before. Joel.
Yes, just
Well, and I think we have done that before. And it's just a procedure that needs to be done.
I just don't ever recall doing it that way. I can do it that way, but I just didn't know if this was something new or it happened before me.
I think it's happened before.
Thank you.
No other questions?
That leads me to believe then, because I wasn't thinking in that vein, but if we're rejecting those two, that still doesn't say we're accepting this one.
No, it
Yeah,
does.
as the motion does.
Take a look at the motion.
Oh,
Proposed
I
motion.
didn't look at that.
Yeah, it does. It's okay. It says it right here,
Okay.
whoever makes it.
Okay. Can I have a motion to reject the two and accept the Mark 43?
Yep.
I move that the contract for public safety's computer-aided dispatch records management and mobile field reporting software be awarded to Mark 43 for an amount not to exceed $1,566,893. Wow. And bids submitted by Tyler Technologies and Capers North America be rejected, and the city manager and his designee be authorized to sign the agreement and have additional authority to take any and all other administrative steps that effectuate the implementation of software.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Sounds like a lawyer.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Heck?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Motion passes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mayor and
Thank you.
Council.
All right, new business. Presentation, discussion, and consideration of resolution number 2246, an intergovernmental agreement with the Arizona Department of Public Safety for security support at the State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Chief,
Mr. Parker?
well,
Mr.
Tom's
Parker,
under.
Mr. Parker on the,
Okay.
yeah. You got this, Tom.
They abandoned him.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Resolution 2246 is the proposed interagency agreement between the Arizona Department of Public Safety and the City of Apache Junction regarding the use of our police officers and for an off-duty capacity. Just like to remind Council that we first originally contracted an IGA with DPS for these same purposes back in April 2018. That had just recently expired. So this is basically a renewal of that, but we're going through the process to continue. This opportunity presents benefits to AJPD sworn staff, including the irreplaceable interaction of other law enforcement personnel in the Valley to help at regional, national, large-scale events, hands-on real-time crowd control management, assisting in the coordination of sophisticated operation events, and the development of professional liaisons with other agencies. This IGA helps our officers continue to be able to help them out at the State Farm Stadium, such as working with the Arizona Cardinals and those types of large events that produce the volume of people that we do not get out here, which allows our officers to continue to keep their skill levels at a greater scale to help us with management with all of our services out here. So I'm asking the council to please continue to support us on that and to pass the IGA regarding Resolution 2246.
In discussion. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, or Your Honor. So, Tom, who's responsible for the labor expense for these officers if they're, I mean, I know this is in advance probably of the Super Bowl and things like that, and so who's responsible for the labor expense?
Excellent question. So the State of Arizona Department of Public Safety are the ones that pay the salaries for that. So the officers are working as if they would anywhere else in an off-duty capacity. So we become the employees of DPS for those short periods of time in the off-duty capacity. So workman's comp and everything's at the State of Arizona level.
Good, okay, thank you.
Officer Parker, so they need permission to work off-duty jobs?
So yeah, so with the IGA, just like anything else, AJPD and the City of Apache Junction keeps control of the officers because the certification and the employees are us. So they have to still abide by our personnel rules as well as our city policy and procedures. So they request for permission. As long as they are off probation, they meet the standards of the State of Arizona, then we allow them to work there if they choose that they would like to, based on the IGA agreement that we have.
Got it, that makes sense. Thanks so much.
Anyone else over here? Yes.
So I'm assuming this is sparked because of the Super Bowl. And, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't our council retreat there that day?
We're on that, but
Just wondering.
is that an expectation of the city manager to do that?
Sounds like a good expectation.
50
Okay.
That's funny. We need a treat. We will be redoing a
Yeah.
retreat.
All right, since there's no more further questions, can I have a motion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that resolution number 22-46, an intergovernmental agreement with the Arizona Department of Public Safety for security support services at the State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, be approved.
Second,
Moved and seconded. Roll call?
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
yes.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Heck?
Yes,
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yeah, as long as they can take us along on the side, that'd be good. Okay, yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, presentation, excuse me, got me choked up there. Presentation, discussion of resolution number 22-47, an intergovernmental agreement with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office for detention officer Basic Training Academy, use as an as-needed basis. Parker, you going to be doing it again?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay.
Again, Mayor, Council, in regards of Resolution 2247, this is also an IGA with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, Detention Officer Basic Training Academy, and with the City of Apache Junction. The purpose of this is one of first of our kind for the City of Apache Junction. Knowing and preparing for our future growth, we need to be able to hire additional officers that work in the detention officer status. There's no other location in our area or region that provides this types of training, and we need to be thinking outside the box. In years past, we've always tried to apply and recruit lateral detention officers. Most of those are individuals who decide that they didn't want to work for Department of Corrections or other jail facilities, and they come to us. However, those applicant pools continue to dwindle. We need to make sure that we are hiring the best quality candidates possible, and we would like to hire career employees. So by allowing us to be able to hire recruits and send them to the academy, we'll be able to actually hire career employees. Sometimes maybe they're not at the age of 21 to be police officers. They want to be a police officer. We may have some volunteers like explorers and stuff who that we would like to keep, that have a lot of talent. This gives us another opportunity to actually retain those volunteers and keep them here in the city as well. So I ask that you guys please support us in approving the IGA agreement with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office to allow us to be able to recruit detention officers to the academy.
Any discussions? Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Your Honor. So Tom, these detention officers, are they sworn officers?
They're not sworn, sir.
They're not sworn, okay. How many detention officers do we currently have, and how many do we anticipate that we may need?
Right now, we have 4 detention officers that are working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So we have 2 vacancies that we need to fill. And again, based on the type of applicants that we're getting, we need to have a larger applicant pool to make sure that we are prepared for our growth and to make sure we have the best quality candidate, which is why we would like to move this route.
Okay.
No other questions? Can I have a motion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that resolution number 22-47, an intergovernmental agreement with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office for Detention Officer Basic Training Academy use on an as-needed basis be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call?
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi.
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser.
Yes.
Councilmember Evans.
Yes.
Councilmember Heck.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Presentation, discussion, and consideration of resolution number 22-45, an intergovernmental agreement with the Apache Junction Unified School District, number 43, to create a virtual library card for students using their school identification number. Pam.
Good morning, Mayor, excuse me.
It's been a long
morning.
day.
Yeah, it's
That's
been a
okay,
long
Ms.
day.
Fetterman.
Running together.
Oh, what did I do?
Close that.
Close out of this?
Yeah, just go down.
I do this every time.
He'll get it.
Al's got your back.
They have classes at the library.
I was trying to watch the other people do it, and I'm like, I think I know how to do it, and I did
You were real close.
Yeah.
One more button. There it is.
Still.
I'll get you there. There it is.
Thank you, Al. Good evening, Mayor, members of council, Pam Harrison, Library Director. I come to you tonight with Resolution 22-45, an IGA with Apache Junction Unified School District to create a student ID library account system. And what would this be and how would it work? It would work by using every student's student ID number to be a virtual library card account number at the public library here in Apache Junction. By doing this, there would be no applications for parents to fill out for their children, there'd be no parent signatures, and there'd be no physical cards. This would be a great tool in the toolbox for every student at the school because they would have instant access to all of the digital resources and electronic databases we have available at the public library.
And they would also have the option to check out 3 physical books at a time from the library or from the bookmobile when we get that in service in the next couple of months. There would be no overdue fines with this library card, as we don't have overdue fines currently at the library, but we would still charge for loss and damage fees. 24/7 access, as I mentioned, would include also online tutoring services, online test prep for practice tests such as PSAT, SAT, ACT, and more. They'd be able to download e-media, including e-books, e-audiobooks, and other downloadables that we have available, such as free online courses through our Universal Class service. And students may have an additional card, a regular library card, with this virtual library card. And that would require them to have a parent come into the library with them to sign an application to get a regular library card. So this card would not replace the regular library card, but it would be something that all the children would have access to, and they can then also have the regular library card to check out. In January would be 30 items at a time. So our reasons for doing this is to remove the physical barrier of coming to the library to get a library card, because as we know, not every parent is apt to do that. And by doing this, we don't have to have that be a requirement. We can connect students with books to foster a love of reading, and we can connect students to credible and reliable information and teach them information resource skills. So our next steps with the school district would be to develop a written pamphlet of information that explains the program for parents and legal guardians that would be posted both at the school district level and at the public library. We would provide training and information about the program to the teachers and the staff at AGUSD. And then we would work with the IT department over at the school district to do the digital transfer of information in the student records to our public library system. And we've already been in contact with them to get that in place by January of 2023. So do we have any questions?
Yes.
It was a nice presentation. As far as I was concerned, wasn't even needed. When I read this earlier in the week, I think it's a great idea. I'm almost surprised what took so long to cross over our public library with the school district. I think it's a really good thing you guys put together here.
Great.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Because Apache Junction Unified School isn't our only high school, is this going to be able to be utilized by Imagine Prep and Apache Trail?
They would have to do their own intergovernmental agreement with us to do it.
So, but you would make it available to them
Exactly.
as well?
Yes,
Okay.
I would love for them to want to do this as well. So we're taking the largest school district in the city and starting with them first.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes.
I might be overthinking this, which I probably always am. On the first page, you said that this will be automatic with every student's ID number, that they don't have to have parents' signature. And it says somewhere in there that they're responsible for damaged, lost books. But as a minor, most high school students are minors. You can't enter into a contract with a minor. How are you going to make them or force them to pay for a damaged book if their parents didn't sign for that?
So the way that the IGA works is that the parents will know about the service, and the school district has set up a process where there'll be an opt-out for the parents to initiate, and they'll have a certain time period where they can do that. If they don't do it within the time frame that the school district gives them, they'll be able to do it when the next school year begins.
But the parents will know that they're legally responsible for any
Yes,
lost?
that'll be part of the information that we share with them before this rolls out.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Totally awesome. This is very cool. So I'm just curious, the information that they'll have online, is it going to be like research information, or will they be able to like read books online?
It's both. So we have, through the public library website, they will have access to all of the online databases that they would use for research papers, magazine, newspaper, reference book articles. Those things all require a student, or require an ID, a library card number and a PIN. So their student ID number would serve as their library card number, and then their PIN would be the month and day of their birth. So that will all be reflected in the patron information that we get from the school district for all of those kids. But in addition, we have a lot of other digital download services that they will have access to, one of them being Overdrive, also known as Libby. It's the Greater Phoenix Digital Library that we're in a consortium with the Greater Phoenix area, which is mostly ebooks and e-audiobooks. That is more pleasure reading type of material.
Yeah.
So they'll have a little bit of both, but then we also have services. The online tutoring is live tutoring with a tutor, a real tutor, through a service called BrainFuse. They'll have access to that, as well as all the test prep and other digital services that we have available.
This is really cool. Is this something new that other libraries, I mean, I've not heard of this before, so is this new? And other libraries are kind of doing it too, or, I mean, is this a pilot program that you guys are?
I became aware of it a few years back. There was a big initiative nationwide for schools and public libraries to do this type of partnership, this type of agreement. California was a big state to initiate it. So it's something I've had in the back of my mind for a couple of years, and then when I became director, it was during COVID, and it just wasn't the right timing. So this year, finally, we were able to make those connections and get that accomplished.
This is really neat. And will you be reaching out to the other schools in the community? Or are they gonna wait for the schools to approach you? Once they hear it, I bet the other schools.
They probably will, but
Yeah.
we're doing some outreach events this week, actually, with Apache Trails High School. We work with Imagine Prep a lot, so if they don't approach me within the next couple months after the holidays, I'm sure I'll contact them.
Thank you. This is great, thanks. Great stuff.
Any other? No. Okay, did I have a motion?
You're up.
Oh,
Go ahead, Gail.
I move that resolution number 22-45, an intergovernmental agreement with Apache Junction Unified School District number 43 to create a virtual library card for students using their school identification number be approved.
second. Moved and seconded, roll call?
Councilmember Heck,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes,
Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
thank you. Presentation, discussion, and award of a contract to Sun Corporation for asphalt crushing and screening. Shane?
Thank you, Mayor. Council, let me put this in presentation mode. All right, Shane Kiesel, your Public Works Manager. So talking tonight just quickly, recycled asphalt pavement crushing services. Like you heard at the start of the meeting there, Parks and Rec recycles, reuses their equipment. We recycle and reuse a lot of our asphalt that we take off the roads during our reconstruction and building of new roads. So essentially, by recycling, we save a lot of money. We use probably about 10,000 some tons of asphalt, recycling asphalt each year, so that saves us a lot of costs when it comes to not having then to buy virgin aggregate for maintaining our dirt shoulders, which we have a lot of, and we still have about 5-6 miles of dedicated dirt roads that we really depend on this recycle to mitigate dust for dust regulation purposes. And also, in the last several years, we've been using a lot more when it comes to our preservation treatments like slurry seals and chip seals. This is budgeted in our fiscal year as part of our chip seal program, which a lot of the screenings from this work will go towards our chip seal, which you'll see this spring in April, May, sometime this spring. So
Again, this is just for presentation and discussion tonight. Plan to bring it back as a consent here in a couple weeks. And I'll just open it up for any questions here at this time.
Any discussion over here? No? Over here?
No, just keep on crushing. You guys rock.
You as well, after tonight.
Keep on recycling. And there's no motion that's required tonight, so selection of meeting dates and times and locations. Do I have a motion for the next meeting dates?
Your Honor, I move that an executive session at 6 p.m. for Monday, December 5th and Tuesday, December 6th, 2022, be held in the City Council Conference Room located at 300 East Superstition Boulevard in Apache Junction, Arizona, and other meetings scheduled if necessary.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call?
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Heck?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And the only one I had was possibly and I can't find it right now. Oh, there it is. Jane Brown, do you want to speak on anything else?
According to published statements, we have a population of
Na-
40,000.
Name and address first.
Jane Brown, Val Vista Road, outside of the city limits. We have a stated population of 40,000. We have temporary extra people throughout the year, sometimes as long as 6 months. Some people say there's 100,000 people additionally in Pinell County for the winter. Now, you and I, each of us that live in AJ, we did a census in 2020. Each of us bring $3,000 a year into our area. That's $30,000 over 10 years. Any winter visitor that did their census in Wisconsin, Minnesota, they're not bringing anything in, but they're costing us. They're using our water, which is a big deal. They're using everything, but we're not getting anything. We get sales tax, but if they could pay, if we could get from Wisconsin, get $1,500 a year from that person, that's a lot more than any sales tax a single person is going to generate in AJ. I think. Don't you think? None of them need people to spend $15,000 in AJ in their 6-month visit. So that is something I really would love you guys to take on to get the revenue in here that should be here. And then we can eliminate sales tax on food. Thank you.
Any comments? No. Yeah,
Joe, I was just asking, Your Honor, the mayor, if I could make a comment. Can I make a comment, Joe? Or am I allowed?
You may make a comment, but there can't be discussion about it.
In response, I just wanted to share one thing. One of the things that we do is, I just wanted to share this little tidbit. We have winter visitors that volunteer and donate to our organizations, and we get an annual report from several of these agencies. I'm not disagreeing in any, or we can't have discussion, but they donate and volunteer a lot. And we've gotten those figures into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. It kind of balances out.
Okay. I'll agree. Thank you.